Today I'm covering the best decks in November 2025 in the Pokemon trading card game's standard format, with the newest set release being Mega Evolutions. Today's rankings will be heavily backed by results and also influenced by my professional opinion. We'll begin with number 10, which is Ceruledge. And you'll see here on the screen, I'll have the top placements, which are going to be recent high ranking placements from this archetype. I'll have that for each of the archetypes we cover today, while also showcasing one of the top performing lists. Now, Ceruledge is a very linear deck, but it is also very strong. When I say that it's linear, I mean that we really just have two attacks that we're using: the Solrock's Cosmic Beam, and then the main attack of the deck, which is Ceruledge's Abyssal Flames, which encourages you to dump energies into the discard pile every turn to get that Abyssal Flames damage going higher and higher. So the linear nature of the deck is a disadvantage because your opponent already knows essentially what you're going to do from turn to turn just by seeing you flip over the Charcadet and knowing that you're playing the Ceruledge EX deck. So this is a strong deck. It can be very fast at doing big damage, which is really nice, especially with Mega Evolution Pokemon in the mix now, which are worth 3 prizes. So if you're one-shotting a 3-prize Pokemon, that's even better than one-shotting a 2-prize Pokemon. I do find, however, that the higher skill ceilinged decks, the stage 2 decks notably, are typically able to maneuver the Ceruledge deck to have at the very least an even matchup to it, but decks like Gardevoir are typically going to take advantage of Ceruledge's straightforward nature and be able to take multi-knockout turns, get around Legacy Energy, take advantage of the bench sitters like Squawkabilly and Pheasantipity. So for those reasons, and also for the results not showing that this deck is really able to win tournaments or consistently get into the top cut in Masters Division, we have Ceruledge down here at number 10. Number 9 is Flareon Box. Now, Flareon Box did have a very impactful weekend right before making this video. It got 2nd and 5th at the Gdansk Regional. However, we are a little bit later into the wave of events with Mega Evolution Legal. So although Flareon Box did just have a really good weekend, it had a lot of subpar weekends leading up to that. Which is bringing Flareon Box down to number 9, instead of maybe having a higher placement on today's video that represents its more recent placements, because it did have a really good run at Gdansk with both 2nd and 5th. So this is going to be a toolbox deck that is focused on using Noctowl's Jewel Seeker ability, which can search for any 2 trainer cards as long as you have a Terra Pokemon in play. Noctowl is an incredibly powerful Pokemon for supporting a deck like this. And of course, you're going to need a Terra Pokemon in play to use that Noctowl, so we have a couple of options for basic Terra Pokemon: Terrapagos, Eevee, and Wellspring Ogerpon, and then the Eevees can also evolve into Flareon EX or Leafeon EX. Those are also Terra Pokemon that satisfy the Jewel Seeker. This deck is going to use weakness to its advantage, Flareon hitting for fire weakness, Leafeon hitting for grass weakness. Also, using the advantage of what the Terra Pokemon do really well is cover a lot of different weaknesses, not just printed weaknesses like the Flareon for fire and the Leafeon for grass, but you also have Wellspring Ogerpon doing Torrential Pump, which is going to do 100 damage to the active and 120 to the bench. So potentially knocking out 2 Pokemon at once. You also have the Sob attack there on Wellspring Ogerpon, and a really important development in Flareon Box decks is that they are playing the 1 Pidgey, 1 Pidgeot EX, and Rare Candy, and that's going to be really easy to set up with Jewel Seeker as long as the pieces are all in the deck, not prized. And then you have a quick search every turn, so you just get to search for any 1 card every turn, and that really smooths out this deck from turn to turn as you get later into the game. Number 8 is Terra Box, very similar to the Flareon Box, except this is going to have more basic attackers like the Pikachu EX, which cannot be one-shotted essentially because of its Resolute Heart ability, and it does 300 damage with Topaz Bolt. You also have the Teal Mask Ogerpon and Iron Leaves EX as attackers. Those are going to be substantial against Charizard, which is weak to grass. Can also be important against Grimmsnarl, which is weak to grass. You've got Lily's Clefairy EX in here for the Dragapult matchup. Can also be just a generally good attacker because it does damage based on both players' benched Pokemon, and with Area 0 Underdepths, you can get your bench to be larger than the normal 5. And then it's also using Mega Mawile EX. Mega Mawile EX is here for the Gobble Down attack. It's for 2 Metal Energy and does 80 damage for each prize card you have already taken. So this is a really nice card for Terrabox because Terrabox is good at going ahead early, like doing a Torrential Pump for 2 prizes, then a Topaz Bolt for 2 prizes, and then needs to figure out how do I get my last 2 prizes. Mega Mawile is going to be great at doing that. If you've taken 4 prizes, Gobble Down is doing 320 damage, so that's going to get the knockout on a lot of different things. Number 7 is End's Zoroark. So End's Zoroark EX and its End's Pokemon that it can copy with Night Joker, Darmanitan, and Reshiram can feel underwhelming against the power that is in today's standard format metagame. You know, End's Zoroark is not doing anything flashy. You have the End's Darmanitan to copy, which can do 90 to the active, 90 to the bench, and then also the Backdraft attack, which does 30 damage plus 10 more for each basic energy in your opponent's discard pile. So End's Darmanitan can actually be a really good attacker on its own against something like Goldengo or Ceruledge. And then you have the End's Reshiram, which does a vanilla 170. That'll be kind of your default attack from End's Zoroark, but it also has the powerful Rage that does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon. So if End's Zoroark was hit by an attack doing 200 damage, like Dragapult's Phantom Dive, it hits back with powerful Rage for 400 the next turn. There are other attackers in the deck. It's not just going to be End's Zoroark. You have Yveltal with Clutch to retreat lock. You have Pecharunt, which is similar to the Mega Mawile we just spoke about. For 2 energy, it does 60 damage times the amount of prizes your opponent has taken. So if they've taken 4 prizes, you'll do 240. If they've taken 5 prizes, it maxes out at 300 damage. But of course, you also have the Adrenabrains from Monkey Dory in the deck to supplement damage further out. And then you also have Okidogi EX popping up in lists because it's a good answer to Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon, which can't be hit by Pokemon that have an ability, so it can't be hit by Zoroark EX, which is a problem. Okidogi EX takes care of that pretty handily. Next at number 6, we have Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX with Frostlass. This is a damage spread deck that also has a pretty good attacker, which is Marnie's Grimmsnarl. So prior to Marnie's Grimmsnarl being around, this deck was kind of just like Badoo, Retreat Lock, Monkey Dory, Frostlass. But Marnie's Grimmsnarl can swing for 180 damage active and also 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And notably, it is Dark type, which is something to also mention for the End's Zoroark. Dark type Pokemon are very good because Gardevoir is weak to Dark type, and Gardevoir EX is very good. So Marnie's Grimmsnarl sets itself up with the Punk Up ability, so that means you can use your manual attachments to go to Monkey Dories for the Adrenabrains, which are very important in the deck to heal your Marnie's Grimmsnarl and to send damage around from your Frostlass's Freezing Shrouds that'll be building up on your own Monkey Dories. A common critique about Marnie's Grimmsnarl is that it is low on card draw, because none of the Pokemon in the deck, except for the Pheasantipede that you'll see here, which is not a common include in Marnie's Grimmsnarl decks, none of the cards can draw cards, of course, except for the Fez, which this player did include. But you'll see that Lily's Determination has been a huge buff for the deck because now you have a maximum of what this player has 12 good supporters to see on pretty much any turn of the game, plus your 2 bosses, plus the secret box that can find a supporter. So roughly 13 outs to your turn 1 supporter when you include secret box as an out to it. So the Lily's Determination helps this deck's consistency a lot. Gardevoir is still very good, and Marnie's Grimmsnarl hits it for weakness. There's a lot of abilities in the game. There's a lot of retreat lockable Pokemon in the game. So Marnie's Grimmsnarl is in a pretty solid position. If you're looking to get better at the Pokemon TCG, I have your one-stop way to do that. In this course, I'll teach you about confidence, about deck building, about decision making, This is the competitive Pokemon TCG Masterclass. You can learn proven systems, accelerate your growth, build confidence, and become the best player you can be. If you want to learn more about it, you can find my Metafy link in the description down below, and you can find plenty of reviews from coaching students and people who have bought my masterclass over there on Metafy. Check out the reviews, see if you want to get it for yourself and accelerate your growth today. Next, we're going into number 5, which is Mega Absol Box. So, Mega Absol Box, this was really popularized by Tord Reklev. So, if not for Tord Reklev and other people found the deck eventually, or found the combination of cards that create this deck eventually, it could have stayed a rogue deck for a lot longer. But it became popularized and it is part of the metagame. And it's gotten its first win at the Brisbane Regionals this past weekend, also with second place in Belo Horizonte a few weeks back, and then Milwaukee, top 4. I think it got top 4, top and 2 top 8s at Milwaukee. So here we're looking at the version that won Brisbane, piloted by Ryuki Okada. And what players have done with the Mega Absol Kangaskhan box now is it's no longer playing the Cornerstone Mask Ogerpon. You'll see here no Cornerstone, no fighting energy. The plan against Goldengo is going to be more to use Ari and 06 Machinations and hopefully have your high HP Pokemon that can Ari gets rid of a couple superior energy retrievals. If you get rid of 2 superior energy retrievals with Ari, that's the dream. Even if you could just get rid of 1, that could potentially make your high HP Pokemon too big for the Goldengos to knock out twice. So Goldengo is still an iffy matchup, especially without Cornerstone. And the reason Cornerstone was cut is because Goldengo decks started teching for Cornerstone, so then why even play the tech if they have a tech for you? The rest of the deck, though, let's talk about it. Mega Kangaskhan EX has the ability to run errands, so it can draw 2 cards when it's in the active, and it has an attack that can theoretically knock out anything, but you don't really want to be going into your attacking, hoping for, 3 coin flips being heads every single time. It's just not going to work out consistently, but it is a solid attack on a high HP Pokemon with a good ability. Then Mega Absol has Terminal Period. If your opponent has exactly 6 damage counters on it, that Pokemon is knocked out. So you can use Adrenabrain to put 6 on your opponent's active, and then Terminal Period to instant knock it out. Claw of Darkness is very, very strong, though. So Claw of Darkness, of course, this is a dark type Pokemon, so it can one-shot Guardy. That's a big, a big competitive buff for the card already, that we're knocking out one of the most important cards in the game right now in one hit. But Claw of Darkness also says you get to look at your opponent's hand and discard a card from it. So it's not at random. Your opponent doesn't get to choose. You get to look at their hand and discard whichever card you want to discard from it. So that can be very, very, very strong, especially when paired with Iono or Eri or 06 Machinations to disrupt their hand. They get to keep a hand, and then you get to go in with Claw of Darkness and get another card out of it. Next, at number 4 is Goldengo, which did take down the Gdansk Regionals in the Masters Division this past weekend, also getting 4th at the Gdansk Regionals as well. So this list by Daniel Magda here is playing a Mega Mawile EX, and that Mega Mawile EX is going to be a Cornerstone answer since it does not have an ability on it. We already talked about Mega Mawile with the Gobble Down attack. So if you have a turn where you want to bench the Mega Mawile and attach to it preemptively, you can even use it in non-Cornerstone matchups, but that is likely where it's going to be mostly used. Otherwise, Goldengo EX, this is a deck that gets to draw a lot of cards. Your Goldengo's coin bonuses draw cards, and then your Lunatone's Lunar Cycle draws 3 cards each turn. You also have Flip the Script from Pheasantipity. You have Genesect to search out your Goldengos. So as long as the Pokemon you need, like your Goldengo line, your 1 Genesect, 1 of each Solrock Lunatone, as long as prizes don't mess up your game, this deck gets to draw a lot of cards and consistently do what it wants to do, which is really big damage with Make It Rain. So I do like this deck more than Ceruledge, because Goldengo has a draw ability on it, and Make It Rain, you can get a really, really high number even if you hadn't set up your discard pile, comparing it to Ceruledge. And you also have a better time into Gardevoir than Ceruledge does as well with the Goldengo deck compared to Ceruledge. Now, this list from Daniel Magda, this is a really unique one because it's playing Secret Box. It's not like we haven't seen Secret Box and Goldengo before, but you typically expect to see Precious Trolley or Prime Catcher in the Rocks build, or Esearch Pro in a straight Goldengo, which has really fallen off in popularity since Solrock and Lunatone came out. But what the Secret Box allows you to do is it gets you your Air Balloon, an Artisan, and then it gets you the Nest Ball for maybe a Genesect, and then it also gets you the supporter for either this turn or next turn. So it does get you a lot of really strong cards. I have seen some Secret Box builds play a TM Turbo Energize so that you can energize to your Mega Mawile and have it ready to start attacking. Looks like Daniel didn't think that was necessary, just having the Mega Mawile in there as a an answer in a pinch against Cornerstone decks. Number 3 is Charizard Pidgeot with Dusknoir, of course. You can build the deck without Dusknoir, but I think Dusknoir is just too strong to not even consider. But it's very, very strong. So if I was playing Charizard to a tournament, I would likely be using the Dusknoir line. So Charizard, 330 health, a lot of HP. And it has the Infernal Rain ability, which is going to set itself up. Can also set up other Pokemon like your Chi-Yu, or even if you want to attack with Pidgeot EX in a pinch, or with Pheasantipity's Cruel Arrow, you get to search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energies and attach them to any type of Pokemon that you want. And then, of course, Burning Darkness gets stronger and stronger as the game goes on, which has really good synergy with the Dusclops and Dusknoir that can force your opponent to take a prize card, and then Burning Darkness is doing more damage. The Klefki Jet Energy combo is here to shut off the Psyduck with Damp that says your opponent's Pokemon cannot knock, or sorry, it doesn't even say opponents, it just says Pokemon cannot knock themselves out. To activate abilities, or something roughly like that. Basically, it says Dusclops and Dusknoir cannot be used while Psyduck is on the board, but Klefki goes up into the active and shuts off all basic abilities, so that Psyduck ability is no longer a nuisance, and then you can pop your Dusclops or Dusknoir. Number 2, we've got Dragapult Dusknoir. This deck has been around for a while, not as long as Charizard Pidgeot, but people seem to mind this one a little bit more, mostly because of the Badoo Itchy Pollen. This is the main deck in our standard format that uses Badoo Itchy Pollen as part of its main strategy. You'll see Badoos pop up in like Zoroark, or maybe in Mega Absol, or even sometimes in Charizard. But Badoo is a mainstay in the Dragapult EX strategy because you want to use Itchy Pollen for a few turns to slow your opponent down while you manually evolve up into all your Dracloaks, draw a bunch of cards, and build a hand of a lot of options, and then just try to clear their board with Cursed Blasts and Phantom Dive, or just try to use a couple of Phantom Dives in a row, and you'll be able to take 4 or 5 or maybe even 6 prizes with that. Phantom Dive is an incredibly efficient attack because of the way that you're able to spread damage and also use Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain and the Dusclops Dusknoir's Cursed Blast and Hawlucha's Flying Entry. You have a lot of stuff that works really well at adding up the Phantom Dive damage to create multi-knockout turns. And then you also have Blood Moon as just a really easy finishing attacker. If your opponent's at 1 prize remaining, it's free to attack with it for 240. So you can just finish out the game like that. And number 1 is going to be Gardevoir. Now, I will say that Gardevoir has not had great finishes at the past couple weekends of regional events. But I think we're just in a little bit of a meta shift, and we'll probably come back to Gardevoir doing really well at Las Vegas regionals this month. I am going to show 3 different lists of Gardevoir real quick. So this first one we're looking at uses Mega Guardy, which can do a lot of damage, but you don't want it to be your main attacker in the early and mid game because, one, it's hard to get all those energies onto the board and then spread them around, and it could be awkward to get it up to the high damage, but also it's worth 3 prize cards because it's a mega. So you don't want to use this to knock out your opponent's first Charizard, and then they come with the next Charizard and knock out your Mega Gardevoir for 3 prizes, and now they're at like 2 prizes left. You want to use it as that final KO. So against the Grimmsnarl, against the Charizard, against the Mega Absol, whatever it is. You can use Mega Gardevoir as like that final KO that reaches that HP ceiling that you need to with the damage. and then it doesn't matter that it's worth 3 prizes if it's winning you the game there. And then this list is also using Drifloon with Bravery Charm to be another really high damage output attacker. And of course, the regulars that you expect to see: Screamtail, Mew EX, Clefairy. Cleffa is here, which is not too common, just for extra draw support early on. And you'll see that this list was playing the Cleffa and only one Technical Machine Evo. Maybe if you're expecting item lock like Dragapult Dusknoir or even Jellicent Gardevoir to be popular, then you go back to 2 Technical Machine Evo to get up into your Curlias, because that really is important. Next list we'll look at real quick here. This was a second place list from the junior division at the Lille regionals recently. And this one was using Fluttermane with TM Devo, and also using Energy Switch, which Energy Switch can be really nice to use multiple Monkey Dories in a single turn when you only have 1 Dark Energy to attach. So, you have 2 monkeys on board, 0 energy on any of them, but Energy Switch can allow you to do a double Adrenabrain turn out of nowhere, even though you can only manually attach the 1 Dark for turn. And then we also have Jellicent Gardevoir. This one is probably the hardest to play, just because you have some, you're going to item lock and just do 20 damage a turn. You're not doing a lot of damage, but if you're item locking at the right times in the right matchups, that's really all you need to do. And then, of course, with the Frillish Oceanic Gloom, but with the Jellicent, you're also turning off tool cards, and you have a stronger attack with Power Press, doing a max of 160. So those are the best decks for November 2025. Please mind the small typo here that says October. This is for November. Just a quick review there on the rundown of decks 10 through 1st on my ranking today. And if you'd like to support me and my channel, you can check out TC Evolutions. Use code CELIO10 on really nice high quality dice and ability markers and dice boxes. And then for sleeves, you could check out Dual Spec. Use code CELIO for 10% off over there as well. Links will be in the description down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.